I don't get it. Um, I'm gonna wait a couple minutes and let this thing get going, and we'll see. Hopefully, we have some fun this morning. I apologize. We were supposed to start like 45 minutes ago. The damn phone wasn't working. Well, I don't know if it's the phone or YouTube. I'm guessing it's probably YouTube. That makes more sense since they changed everything now. So yeah, y'all just give me what's going on now. Like I said, I'm gonna get rolling here in about 2 minutes. Give it a chance to get going. Like I said, I'm sorry for the lateness. Good morning, DC. It's I don't understand. Mine on Bully salute. It's Reno. I called you yesterday or something like that. I hit you up later on, trying to catch up on everything. What's going on? Keep it Bully. Y'all better check out Keep It Bully. They got the chat though. It's almost like the old MSNBC. I've been rolling for a minute, so I haven't had a chance to jump on and really get going yet. But that's something that's gonna be nice. That's coming up. Well, sorry, I think he already launched it, so y'all can check it out. I'm gonna miss some of y'all because good morning to everybody. I'm looking down, trying to multitask and get my life together before I go into these first topics. And the one thing we do in the morning that's a little bit different, you know what I'm saying? What's going on, Jonathan? Is that on this show, y'all gonna notice that sometimes I talk about a little bit of everything, you know. So it's gonna be jumping all over the place sometimes, but we're gonna get it all in, you know. When you need me, I will right back. I got my little old Al Green on, but man, you know, it's been a minute, and y'all forgive me if I don't have the energy. It was a mess. It was a mess. Oh man, I only listen to old music. I don't really listen to a lot of this new shit. I listen to Bob Marley. My favorites is Al. My big guy Marvin Gaye. Of course, Barry White. Average White Band. So yeah, I'm gonna finish this last one, and we're gonna get rolling. There's so many good things I could say about you, girl. I could say that I. All right. Yo, okay. Oh, we ain't gonna get to going on that. I'm gonna turn that one off. I don't want to get into my Teddy P, but welcome. You know, this is not the normal setting, and this is what I will tell y'all. And y'all notice I say this from time to time on here. Is we're gonna start trying to do it like some of the other podcasts. Y'all notice that, I mean, well, the lives and the podcast is in the works. I'm not the most technical person, so we had some issues. And besides that, those of you who follow the page know that unfortunately had multiple deaths in the family, and actually had a pretty good friend pass away over the last, what was that, month and a half. And one of them happened to be my aunt, and the other one happened to be my goddaughter. And that the goddaughter thing sort of took it out of me, man. It's always different. and somewhat difficult, I guess, not somewhat, a lot difficult, when you, I guess, when you reach a certain age and you have these kids and they still kids, even when they're in their 20s, um, they're still kids, And so to lose one of them, we actually lost her to COVID, and it's been a mentally and emotionally draining thing. And this little one is acting the damn fool, but she's probably restless because we've been out so much. But I tell you what, with everything going on, it was time to get back to work. We've just to, I guess just to do my little venting. And y'all might notice that I'm drinking a shitload of water because I'm just to get back to myself. I'm doing a lot of fasting, so I only eat basically intermittent fasting. I only eat from 4 in the afternoon to midnight. The other 16 hours of the day is just water, unless I put a little bit of aminos in there. So I'm trying to. It seems to help my energy. It seems, for whatever reason, it seems to help me mentally too. But as I was saying with the thing, and we're gonna get past the sadness, but when it's a kid, I don't care how old they is, they always are kids. It This is fortunately and unfortunately the first time that I've had to experience one of the younger members of the family, and especially one that you love dearly, leaving before you do. It's a whole different vibe. It hits you somewhere differently. And fortunately, I've had a good cast of people who've showed a lot of love, and I've done the things that I needed to do. And I'm going over this part. Believe me, we're going to talk dogs. We're going to talk a lot of shit. But I want to to say this to y'all. You sometimes you have to. I told y'all before. I basically did what is the equivalent of like a rehab stint, just for mental health and to learn how to deal with things, because I put a lot of pressure on myself. I've had a lot of, unfortunately, death around throughout my life, period. My mother was murdered. Her and my aunt were murdered when I was very young. And I'm not gonna tell y'all my whole story to go through all these things. And as I've told y'all before, we have a huge family. My father he's a rolling stone. He had 39. They say 39, possibly 40 kids. So I'm just gonna say 40, because if you got 39 kids, you did that 40th one, and you probably did 10 more that they don't know about. But so we got a huge family, and it seems like it's always something happening. But whatever you go through, I strongly recommend that if you feel in any kind of way, get some help. It could be depression, it could be anxiety. It's funny because as things went along, for myself, they actually diagnosed me with social anxiety, which is weird, but it explains a lot. You know what I mean? And social anxiety is when you get anxiety from talking to people. And my version of what they said that was more so like, it was more so like talking to people directly. If I had a nervous problem or whatever, I just didn't want to talk to or deal with people. And I could be on the internet like this, but talking to people straight up always caused me somewhat of a problem, to the point where I don't know, it's hard to explain the feeling, but you just, well, you didn't want to do it. You get a nervous type of, heart racing type of feeling. It's not like you're scared. You just like, I want to be left alone at this moment. And so, I went and took care of the situations, and now I stay on top of just making sure that I'm thinking right, that I'm doing the things to take care of myself and to not get stressed out. And it was amazing to look at some of the stats of how many, especially men, who like to keep everything inside, and how I handle it on my own, and I got this and this and that and the other, that go through things and really let that pressure kill them. You know what I mean? So, if there's anything going on with y'all, man, I strongly recommend, first and foremost, that you pray. I have a good friend, basically family, that I call him Cuzzo, because we so much alike in many ways. But he sends me some good readings from his church from time to time, and definitely staying close to God helps your process, man. So with all that being said, whatever you do, man, y'all take care of yourself, man, woman, or child. Never be afraid or ashamed to address any kind of mental health issues that there may be. You know what I mean? It doesn't make you weak, it just makes you human. Now, with that being said, we're going to move on, and I'm going to tell y'all, and hopefully the messages start popping up, but if not, I'll talk. I honestly think it's something wrong with YouTube. I was trying for like 45 minutes to get on. It kept saying it wasn't accessible. Now it's giving me a million different, it's actually notifying me to watch myself live. I don't know what that's about. But let me take a swig real quick. First topic and the first thing that I really gonna touch on, it's not dog related, but I'm gonna stay on this for about 3 minutes. And it's this whole topic where people did ask me my opinion on it with Kyrie Irving, the basketball player, and this whole COVID thing. And, like I said, I've had it. Lost recently, lost a couple family members to it. I've had friends that have had it. I've had friends who've battled it tough. Another friend of mine just recently had to battle it. And man, I tell you like this, the one thing that I noticed about the brother Kyrie Irving is that he's very much in tune with the world as far as trying to help people out in the world. And things that are not being said about that situation is that the NBA actually, as late as July, told those guys that it wouldn't be any mandates that they had to take vaccinations. And, I commend the brother for standing up, and he's not doing it in a loud way. He's not criticizing people who had the vaccine. He feels much like I do. That's why I can pat him on the back. If you've had the vaccine, more power to you. If you're a person who's scared of and I mean scared or reluctant of the vaccine, more power to you also. And there's very good information as to why you should be reluctant on any kind of vaccine or medication that hasn't been tested for over 5 years. Is because even the medical professionals will tell you that it is a shelf life of side effects that you don't know when these side effects can pop up. So you're not wrong either way for either trusting and saying I'm gonna take it head on and make sure that I'm taken care of now, and at the same time, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. If you're scared, don't do it. And I'm starting to see messages pop up. Hopefully it gets up. But for whatever reason, that you know what I mean. I agree. It definitely might. It shouldn't be any mandates. You shouldn't be forcing people to inject themselves with anything, especially with the history that we've seen that Johnson and Johnson had to recall. And there's also been several, I guess you would say, tweaks to the current vaccines to where they were having small problems here and there and trying to make it better. So yes, people probably might have some reluctancy about using some of these things, but the option is there. The option is there, just like with all medicine. For me, I don't take opioids at all, really. You know what I mean? Even when they had, I think I might have mentioned that to y'all, I had to have a surgery on the jaw to basically have some cement there to fix the bone. And even then, I didn't take any of the pain medicine that they gave me. I came home, I toughed it out, ate my soup, and called it a day because I don't trust opioids. I've always been reluctant, and I've heard too many stories with painkillers that people who go into the hospital who've never taken a drug in their life, and then they come out and then they end up addicted. I don't know if any of y'all watch wrestling, but I watched a documentary on this is old school, but the old British Bulldog, I think is what it is. It's either Danny Boy Smith or the bigger one that used to be in the British Bulldogs when it was the WWF. Well, he actually had a serious back injury, right? And this guy was the type of health. They said he was the type that didn't even drink, and they were giving him the morphine for the pain. And if I'm not mistaken, it was within 2 years he was dead. He had developed a serious addiction to painkillers, and within 2 years that man was dead. And he was like the picture of health. He was the cock diesel, athlete. Even though y'all know wrestling is part acting, part athlete, but the man died. You know what I mean? So when it comes to those things, man, I commend Kyrie Irving and anybody else who's willing to speak up. Y'all have to remember during these times, man, Muhammad Ali was villainized the same way. When he said he didn't want to go to war to kill other brown people, and he didn't believe in the Vietnam War, and he didn't believe in all this carrying on, and well, they made him out to be the enemy at the time. And later on, many people adopted the same thought process that he adopted, you know. But anytime that you go against the grade, and now we'll transform into, I mean, we'll transition over into dogs, it's going to be a problem. And I tell you like this, when it comes to this American bully community, that's the same way I felt. A lot of y'all show me a lot of love and a lot of support, sometimes, you know, more than I deserve. But the one thing I'll tell you is, here we go. Here we damn go. We had to, Larry, now I'm going to tell y'all something about Larry. Good brother, got mad love for Larry. We've been going back and forth probably the better part. Shit. We might have been going, me and Larry might have been going back about this Ravens and Browns thing for the better part of a decade. We getting close. I guarantee you, if we check it, we getting close. And Larry, every time I'm having a good morning, a good evening, whatever it is, he got to come around here with this damn Baltimore shit. Well, hey, it ain't gonna work. This, you see what it is. We are going to be all right, and we look forward to coming over there and whooping y'all ass. We play y'all like back-to-back weeks. We kick your ass one week, we take a bite, and we come back around there. But yeah, Larry is very indignant. I just want y'all to know that he's a good brother, but everybody got a flaw, and his flaw is them damn Ravens. You know what I mean? You made me spit up my water. See what I mean? Here you go. It popped right up on the screen again. Talking about it's still a good morning. Ain't a damn good morning, Larry, when you get to bringing up black and purple and all this carrying on and Raven. What kind of damn mascot is a Raven? Yes, I know the Browns don't have a mascot, but I'd rather not have a mascot than some rat bird running around here messing with people. So, and look, and while I'm talking to you, Larry, right on my screen, because y'all know the Browns keep me going. Boom, Jarvis Landry plays this week. So Jarvis Landry is back, the heart and soul of the Browns. We'll be all right. But, you know, when it comes to these dogs, man, I tell you what, like, I've been beat up and slandered in a lot of ways, lied upon in a lot of ways, you know. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I'm probably the second slowest person in the world. There's somebody out there slower than me, but I'm like the second slowest person in the world, you know. And what's going on, Francisco? But, you know, people ask me like, well, why is there obvious things that people do to try to discredit me? Like, for instance, and this is just some of the shit that y'all might not know or y'all might have heard of or whatever the case may be. But like, for a long time on Bullypedia, they said I didn't produce Denzel, which the whole bully world with any kind of damn sense knew that I produced Denzel. I owned his mom. So, but, and then it was Mandela. They said I didn't own Mandela. Then they said that Mandela wasn't Bistro's son, and they put Robert Lee in that mix, and he had to come like, shut the hell up. It is what it is. And, you know, and amongst all of the other dumbass things that they make up and they say from time to time and all of these different things, it's all ugliness, and you know, and it all needs to be laughed upon. And the one thing, the Bills is looking good. I ain't gonna lie to you, the Bills is looking damn good. You know, but the one thing that I've come to find out is that, you know, if you totally disagree with a society, if you just disagree with the way things are around you, if you disagree with everything that you're seeing, why would you have a want or a need to have people agree with you? Because I'm gonna tell y'all something like this, man. I've noticed the people that our society hates the most oftentimes are the people who are standing on their own and don't too much give a shit. And they're standing on a lot of truth. You know what I mean? It's the people who refuse to go and walk up them crates, you know? You know what I mean? It's the people who refuse. Hey, Rich, I got to get with you. Well, I'm going to be headed back home anyway. I hit you up the other day. But, yeah, I get with you because we got a couple things to discuss. But I tell you, you know what I mean? When you start to go against the grade, you know, you'll find out that it's going to be a lot of hate there. But think about it. Those of you who've watched this page and those of you who watch me have my rants, shit, sometimes get emotional. everything that goes on with me and these dogs. You know what I mean? It's going to be registration. Actually, I'll be jumping on that after I get off of here. The site is going to have to go up. But and I'll give y'all update. I know I told y'all like a month or so ago that we were going to activate the site and it was all ready. But with everything that went on with me, that was actually on me and not the tech this time. You know what I mean? So it was better. But this week, y'all noticed that the TBKC dog site will be up. You can go in there and register. Basically, you can register damn near any dog you want to. Certain dogs are for confirmation. Certain dogs will be strictly like you can put them in all of the different physical activities. Let's say that whether it's weight pool, and there are classes with weight pool, so you can put a Chihuahua in there. And if y'all laughing, Google it. Chihuahuas do. Absolutely do weight pool. It's a Chihuahua that was pulling some major weight, so we look forward to doing those type of things, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We still have a lot of the same judges. We have some new judges, and we're training judges now. People were talking about with the training process, why are we trying to keep the much love, Jay Will. But we're trying to keep the training process, and y'all are going to notice that we're going to be reaching out more and more, and it frees me up. So I'll be doing this part of it, reaching out, the promotions, a lot of the talks, a lot of the interviews, where everybody else will be doing the paperwork and organizing shows, and it breaks it down so I can do more. But the thing I'm saying is we don't want a lot of these people who have been judging before. I don't care if I rub somebody the wrong way. Mother had you, mother. Y'all can fill in the blanks, because this is the problem. The judges have been just as much of the problem. You know what I mean? The judges have been just as much of a problem as anything in the American bully community. I see these people take pictures with these judges. I see people talk about the honorable judge such and such, and he's this and he's that. And really, I'm looking at most of these judges like a fraud, because you find me. Now we're going to start talking real dog shit. You find me the judge, and I don't care what registry it is, that has dismissed whole classes of dogs. You find me the judge who consistently takes that blue ribbon and puts it in his back pocket. Cowboys looking damn good too. You find me the judge who can give you a better explanation as to why your dog lost than breed type. Now, I know a couple, but at the end of the day, what I'm going to tell you is this. And and while we're on this, because we talking Cowboys and we talking Browns and we talking this, we are going to try to put together a sports show, but I want to do that on the podcast, to where we just break up the monotony of the dog world, but we still got dog people who are sports fans, and we can talk a little boxing, we can talk a little NFL, NBA, tennis, you know what I mean, UFC. I don't know much about golf. You don't want me on your. And I can drive like a son of a bitch. But yeah, I can put the drive out there. Trust me, I can smack the hell out of the drive. I used to do it as a stress relief. But my putt game, oh Lord, I'm in the water, But going back to these judges, and y'all, and anybody who's ever watched me talk, y'all know I jump around subjects, but I come back. But the judges have been a problem in our breed, in our community, forever, because they're corrupted, and they're corrupted in two different ways. Some of them have been caught taking money and picking their friends. Hell, we had one judge who, took some coochie as a payment, and we saw that. Well, that was, actually he took some, she used her mouth in the parking lot, and they caught her doing that and posted all kind of pictures. We've had judges do a lot of things, and we've had a lot of scandalous ass people do a lot of things for ribbons. Like, you really gonna go out there and suck for a damn ribbon? You know what I mean? Look at that. Brandon said, I'm that judge trading ribbons for coochie. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. Good morning, Heather from Mexico. Look forward to getting down there. I'm actually going to be working with my good friend Oscar Gomez, and I'll be doing some shows down there. And we'll probably end up doing some dual registry shows from time to time. He's actually going to be doing some things with me also. One of the judges that I trust, so y'all will see Oscar with the TBKC doing show. He owns his registry. We're for the breed, you know what I mean? So it is what it is. But you know, these judges, man, I prefer. My plan is this. It's a lot of good people who've never judged a dog. There's a lot of good people who've never been a part of that, you know, that little gang over there and the things that they do that have destroyed this breed. I would rather train and bring along new judges with integrity and eyes for a clean American bully amongst other breeds. And you know what I mean? It'll be a lot better. You know what I mean? They bringing up the Bengals. The Bengals is looking good for a minute. They'll be out of it by week 8. But I would rather have new judges. I'll tell you that. I would rather have new judges who actually care about the community, who are actually striving to put notches in their belt for picking great dogs in the ring. I would rather have the judges who push the community forward. There is no excuse for dogs to have kink tails as champions. There's no excuse for dogs to have high rears as champions, bad feet as champions, and any of the other issues that are going on. You know what I mean? You don't have to pick, and I'm sorry I missed that last message that popped up, but you don't have to pick the dog. This is what I mean by putting the ribbon in the pocket. For those who don't know, and I know a lot of people come here for educational purposes, the very way that the American bully, the very way that the dog show world started was much like you see at farm shows when they are looking at pigs and goats and different things like that and talking about what's the best and this and that and the other. Horse shows the same way. A lot of times these are picked as breeding stock. So the label of a show winner, not a champion. Let's start at the lowest rung of it. If your dog is a show winner, just basically meaning that the dog won its age group at that time, the mentality of the judge is supposed to be, does this animal have the potential to be a champion of this breed? So if I'm looking, and that doesn't matter if it's the puppy class and it's all, you know, it's the males in there, the males are doing their thing or whatever the case may be. If it's the puppy class, then in this puppy class, I must decide if this puppy looks like he has potential to go forward and represent our breed as a champion. And if that dog does not have that potential, if I see a potential flaw that would eliminate him from being a good example for the breed, I'm supposed to pull the ribbon if there's no other dog that's better than him in the ring. That means that all of the dogs in the ring are subpar and they should not represent the breed. What we have in the American bully world is that everybody gets a ribbon. You know, no matter what, if the dog has, you know, oh, his feet are a little off, but he has breed type, they give him a ribbon. That's not the way it should be. Because at the very top, and if you look at, you know, let's call them the professional breeders, the professional showers, the professional handlers of other breeds, they are shooting and striving for perfection. You know, I talked about before when I judged in Mexico. I was actually in Leon, Mexico, judging for that show. And the dogs came out, and it was me, Shorty from Pit Boss, a couple other real good dog men down there, and we had a good time at that show. But a guy brought in a staffy, right? So I'm in the ring, and you know, we just sitting there chatting, and I see the dog, and I'm looking around the room. And as a judge, this might sound bad, but immediately when I seen this dog, I said, uh-oh, the show's pretty much over. You know, what you mean? What you mean? I said, unless that dog basically screws up and refuses to show, that dog is going to win. Dog was immaculate. immaculate. I'm obsessive with this shit, believe me. So when I judge, some of y'all laugh at me. Y'all laughed at me in Mexico because I will get down eye to eye with the dog. I don't always stand over the top of the dog. I believe in angles. I believe in seeing everything. This dog, man, his pigmentation, his eyes, you know what I mean? They even had the whiskers clipped right. His teeth were beautifully clean. Every tooth in place, perfectly scissored bite. The toenails were filed perfectly. You know what I mean? The dog sat just the man. And the top line was incredible. When he moved, it looked like he was just flowing. I mean, literally, I've often used that analogy that when you see a dog who's well put together, or an animal that's well put together in general, it looks like you can sit a glass of Merlot on his back and tell him to go around the ring and you won't spill a drop because the back does not move. But that's by design. Let's call it God's design, but at this point in time it's in our hands to maintain that thing, you know what I mean? Man, you know what I mean? The dog was incredible. The coat was shiny. I wish I did have the number. The coat was shiny. Everything was beautiful about this dog. And so, a couple of us were talking, the guy who was hosting the show and everything like that. We got to talking. And I was in love right off top. But of course, we went through our process, and there was another dog there that I'm telling you, a black American bully, with a white chest. That this coat was just like silk, man. The coat was like silk, powerful rear, but not overdone. Incredible shoulders, bone. He had everything. He had. If I could go into my magical lab and remake Dax into what American Bully is supposed to be, that would have been it, because he had all the lines. He had everything. And when I looked at the dog, they was like, well, what are you in his mouth for like that? Because I really wanted to see. I did more than the basic. Is it a scissor bite? I wanted to see the side to see if any of the side teeth weren't meshing properly. Something that is often overlooked in the American Bully world. We believe that if it's just a scissor up front, that the rest of the jaw is lined up. That's not the case all the time. The teeth can be aligned in the front, and the bottom jaw be too wide or the top be too wide, and the teeth don't overlap properly in the back side. So you should also be studying, the overall dental of the dogs. And sometimes dogs are missing teeth and other things that you can take away from. But that American Bully was very, very nice. And it just leaves me, I get excited. Like y'all said, did you get his number? But that dog was a great challenger for the Staffy. But at the end of the day, of course, the Staffy ended up winning that show. And come to find out, that dog was like the number 2 or 3 staff in the whole entire world. He had dominated everywhere. And I guess it was like they wanted to test me to see if I was just gonna be if I was just gonna be a bully person and let bully beat this incredible dog. But they never told me until the end. And then I come to find out that this dog was super top level, you know what I mean? And it's man, it's amazing. And really what that did at that moment, that show, and actually I flew home and I went back, and that's when the Columbia show I'll tell y'all about. And I saw some beautiful sheepdogs, pharaoh hounds. I seen a beautiful Clumber Spaniel. And the thing that always rung out in my mind, and if y'all have time, just like the post, it helps it generate different things or whatever, to keep the page going. And we're gonna be here every Friday morning. And like I told y'all, I know a lot of y'all, I seen the messages as I started to look through messages this morning and try to catch up on my life. I seen that y'all was asking about the podcast. I'll be back on Sunday morning and I'll give y'all more of the details about the podcast. It was more of a technical thing. But it goes to the question with the American Bully, why are our standards not like that? You know what I mean? Why are our standards not like that? As I see these dogs and I got to talk to these great dog people and, asking them the small points about their breed, you know what I mean? How is this dog's hair supposed to be, for example? Which we don't care about because our dogs don't have hair. but at the same time, it is a very, very big thing, because one of the things that I'll post the information for the podcast. I don't even have the link to it yet because I was trying to get it organized and it didn't work out. That's what I was saying. Sunday morning, I'll get it. You'll get the information here, and I actually will be putting it on here also. That's the plan. But like the details that these people go through, because one of the big things that I had when I was judging down there is I didn't have to judge them, but I did want to see, like, it's hard. Imagine a sheepdog. If most of you don't, if any of you don't know what a sheepdog is, it has a ton of hair. So, excuse me, I'm wondering, like, how the hell do you judge it? Is it just one big hairdo, or But I talked to a professional who handled the sheepdog, and they literally broke down every part about how important movement is. And the guy told me something. He had a heavy accent, but he talked about it, and saying that even with a bigger dog like that has a ton of hair, that a lot of it's, they said they prepare the dog sometime for up to 12 hours on a show day. I can't even imagine. But he said you can still see the issues. You can still check the teeth. You can still check the eyes. The judge can still check the body of the dog. But the number one thing that they watch with those big hairy dogs is the movement. And it made me smile, because that's the rule that I always tell everybody else, and that I was taught by some other good dog man. But he said you can hide this dog's frame and its anatomy and everything you want with all this hair, but once that dog starts moving, it's a trick to it. He said even the way, if this dog is moving silky smooth, his coat won't even bounce. It threw me off, because I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, the coat won't move. And I'm like, dude, he got all his hair, he big, he moving. He said, if he's on point, that dog's coat will not move, because he's put together so well. It goes back to what I was telling y'all about the wine on top of the back. He said, and he said, and certain dogs have he called it a swoosh, to where their movement is good and their coat just sort of flows with their movement. And other dogs, they look for the coat to barely not move at all. I said, you got to be fucking kidding me. And he said, this is how we can tell. He said, if you have a beautiful dog, and he said it don't matter if it's a Shih Tzu or any of the other dogs that have long coats, he said you can tell how great that dog is put together by how its coat moves, or the lack of movement in the coat. And to hear these people get to talking about the small intricacies down to the eye shape, and looking deep into the dog's eyes and checking for pigmentation problems. This is a next level thing that we are so far behind. It's scary. When I had a judge tell me that certain breeds have defects inside of the eye. You know what I mean? Inside of the eye. And he said these dogs, because he judged at a incredible level. He's actually been a Westminster judge and everything. He's judged every continent besides Antarctica. And if they had dogs there, he would have been there. But he told me that sometimes the dogs are so incredible, you know what I mean, that we have to go into the smallest details, and you have to understand the defects that come along with this breed. And so he literally told me about a couple breeds that he looks deep into their eyes because they're known for having defects. It's like she's so game that she is willing to hit a male, when other people, you know what I mean, when other dogs might only be willing to hit the opposite sex. Now that was heavy, because that taught me something, and it correlated to what they taught me with the Roddy and breeds who had protection, who had a protection drive, that these dogs are so well put together conformationally that we get to a point that we're just breaking them down by their characteristics. What is the characteristic of an American bully? We don't even fucking know. So when y'all talk about breeding for the perfect dog, it starts up top at the health of the dog, of course, and the structure fitting to the standard. But also, we can never forget, you know what I mean? What's going on, Green Eye? You know what? It's funny that show was in Rhode Island. Yeah, that show was in Rhode Island. But we've got to get to the point to where we get this dog shit is a real science. You know, it's a real science. I go on and on forever for y'all to tell y'all little weird facts. You know what I mean? Uh, about different. You know what I'm saying, about what's going on, Mr. McGee, about different breeds. You know, like with the what did they tell me about the Jack Russell? The Jack Russell, it's a badge of honor for the Jack Russell to have those big ass teeth. You know, they got to have big teeth. Inch for inch, pound for pound, the Jack Russell has the biggest teeth out of any of these canines. You know what I mean? So that's not to say his teeth are bigger than a Mastiff, but if you go size for size, he's got the biggest teeth for his body. You know what I mean? And it's many different little key facts like that that the judge is looking at. Now, with the American Bully, for those of you who don't know, the American Bully is allowed to have some aggression, of course, towards other dogs. Some aggression, but it's often described, even John Easterly says the same thing. I believe I've heard Oscar mention it in the same breath, as a controlled aggression. So that's the type that, you know what I mean? If you got your male on the leash and he sees another male, you might notice that he bucks up a little bit, but you can pop the collar and say, hey, chill out, you know what I mean? Get him away, but he's going to still be staring. He's still going to have that look at that dog. He's not really for his shit. Like, if I can get you, I would get you, but this is what it is. You don't want him to be over the top to where he's just berserk and won't stop and listen to your commands. You know, now in a breed like the Pit Bull, you might be able to get away with that. You know what I mean? Because that dog is bred to be a lot more game, and game is his game, so to speak. But the American Bully, the one thing that's often, I'm seeing this more and more, the American Bully at no point in time in a show ring is supposed to be people aggressive. No point in time. Absolutely no point in time. What's going on? What's that? Okay, I'm just gonna say big dog because my eyes is the reason why I be wearing these glasses is because sometimes lights hurt my eyes, you know. But what's going on out there in VA? But the one thing that with the American Bully, and y'all seen this, I'm sure you've seen it, is if the dog lunges at a judge, that's an automatic disqualification. Automatic disqualification. At no point in time is the American Bully supposed to be demonstrating unprovoked, and let's just say that, unprovoked aggression and the willingness to bite a person. That is not supposed to happen under any circumstance. If you are showing a dog and this judge standing next to you, the dog is standing next to you, and this judge cannot come and examine your dog without your dog acting like he wants to bite the hell out of the judge, that is an automatic disqualification. I know some of you hate it because, you know, some of these dogs are a little bit uppity, but this is a show dog. You know, we can't change the rules. That show dog is not supposed to, at any point in time, lunge and take a shot at that referee. It is not supposed to try to get at another handler. If it's growling at another dog and you can control him and get him stacked, that's perfectly fine. If he tries to bite that judge, he's supposed to be kicked out of the ring. In the line of other disqualifications, if your dog refuses to work. So we've seen videos of dog who lays down. If your dog is laying down in the ring and especially flipping over on his back, he does not want to be there. At that point in time, you know, the judges will be patient, but once it comes to a point that we start to see that these dogs don't want anything. Bank Statement Bullies, I will be on his podcast. We setting that up. Y'all seen my homie, but he's doing his own podcast. He's doing his own thing. I'm going to jump over there, and me and him going to talk dogs. A lot of this is coming back together, but you know what I mean? Exactly. The reason RPM that there's no human aggression allowed in the Bully is because of the Pit Bull, which the Bully is originally derived from. So that's why that was in the standard. No human aggression at all. Now on the other side of that, that would be different for a Doberman or a Rottie if they show more human aggression because they're guard dogs. Now generally the show dogs have been trained in a way that they do what they do. But at the end of the day, you don't want that aggression in any of the dogs. You know, any of the American bullies. Now what we are looking for, and we understand that this is going to be a journey with the American bully. We are definitely working hard on the structure. And it's not to say that if you're at home and your dog has a high rear or whatever, that your dog's life is over. But it's just not a championship dog. If your dog has a kink tail, it's not a championship level dog. If your dog has a high, what I'm saying, not just a high rear, but has one testicle, the dog is disqualified. It amazes me to hear that a dog who has one testicle is a champion. It amazes me further to hear that some of y'all are actually going and having a surgery to put a fake testicle inside the fucking dog so that it can show. This is when things are so corrupted that it's just crazy. Now I'll tell you, you brought up Magoo. This is one thing that's a precursor about Magoo and about Dax, and y'all be surprised to hear me say this. Under those old rules, remember, Magoo's championship comes from the extreme class. So does Dax's. In the extreme class, you were allowed to have high rears, you were allowed to be easty-westy, you were allowed to do everything. You know what I mean? It just, you know what I mean? Exactly. Your message went off. I got to read it, Tyler. But exactly, do not throw the baby out with the bathwater. You can be scientific on getting issues out of dogs, but at the same time, the one thing that you can't do, and I'll go back to the Dax and Magoo thing, is you can't. First rule of thumb is you can't continuously add bad genetics and expect for good results. This is just the stupidest thing that we do. The most popular dogs in this breed have issues. They have huge issues. Huge issues. And I'm not going to get to steamrolling Dax today, but it's just amazing, that a lot of the dogs that you see, a lot of the dogs that y'all see that got popular, and some of y'all didn't like what I had to say about other dogs that are popular, is that, now you bring up Mastiff with the fighting. That's a different topic for a different day, but y'all wonder why the XLs are so fucking uppity at times. That's part of the American bully lie. You know what I mean? The Mastiffs that are the XLs, it's the reason why the Mastiff's temperament is totally different from every other class. And maybe we'll talk about that next Friday, and we'll get deep into that. But if you look at every Mastiff breed and you look at what they're bred for, and you look at their temperament and the way that they act, correlate that right back to the XL dogs now that are walking around at 150, 160, 170, 180 pounds. It's nothing American bully about a lot of these XLs. I'm just gonna tell y'all that, But the one thing that we can't do in this breed is continuously push and promote unhealthy dogs. I've told y'all this a million times, and I hope some of y'all take it and stop falling into the trap of public opinion and who's going to like your dogs and how much they're going to sell for and who's going to pat you on the back the first. Marcos Suarez has proven it. He's one of the breeders that have proven it, that if you can stick to your script and make good, clean dogs, and they might not be super big, they might not be over the top bully, but for those who are worried about dog sales, he's still selling dogs. People still love his dogs. People still love the look of his dogs. People still love everything about those animals that Marco Suarez is producing. They love him, you know what I mean? And he stuck to the script. When you look at my dogs are clean. One thing I've never had a problem with is people wanting, the blood that I have. Denzel's blood is all over everything, and Mandela's blood is spread like wildfire too. I've never had that problem, and I've turned down way more than I ever had. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, Danny's boy, man. I wanted to get something off of that boy. We're gonna save the XL. We can't talk about it all. We're gonna load it. Next Friday morning, we're gonna get down on this XL thing. But it's the identifying of as we clean up, and like my good friend Tyler Malone just said, is that it's scientific, and that's why I can't wait till he gets on the podcast. I talked about him in one of the other videos. He's a lot more scientific than even me, and I went to school to be, veterinarian and study all this stuff. But he digs deep into the details of the breed and the genetics of the breed and the different things that pull certain things out and things that we should avoid, and even diseases. And man, he gets into it deep, man, and it's great to have friends like that because I love to learn, and he does the research and feeds it to me, so he saves me the time. He saves me the time on all that research. But if you are breeding, man, these are things that you need to know. You need to know about the genetics. You need to know about what you're doing wrong in your yard. And I know some of you who have come along in this American bully world believe that certain things, oh, it's not that bad. I'm gonna tell you something about, say, for instance, the kink. The kink, you know what I'm saying, the kink tail, is you know what I mean, an extension of the spine. So it's research that can be done on the kink tail and the effects of doubling up on the kink tail. Because I've read several articles now where, in the American bully world, we used to always just look at it and we used to give it the old dog man trick and say, you know what, that's just that bulldog coming back out. But actually, it's an indicator of possible spinal and neurological issues when you take a kink tail dog and you start to double and triple up on that gene. It's not just the tail, that's an indicator. So this is one of the reasons, not just for show purposes, but this is one of the reasons that when you do have a dog with a kink tail, you have to have it in your mind that this is what it is. You know what I mean? Well, when they say that the American bully is just a pit bull mixed with a bulldog, that's true in a lot of ways. Because as the breed evolved and we had so many people willing to cheat, a lot of bulldogs got mixed in. For those of you who are just listening to me run my mouth, and I will tell y'all, everybody who I've got things that I'm supposed to do for you, I've actually got somebody taking care of those things. I'm harassing a registry about paperwork. I'm harassing my own registry, but they actually are on point now. And I've got a little help now, so things will speed up. And I thank y'all for being patient and understanding about these family issues and my own issues. So definitely thank y'all for that. But going into the American bully, that bulldog gene, it's definitely there. Don't y'all let them tell y'all that it's not. If you do basic research and you're a dog man, and a lot of y'all are dog men with other breeds, if you look back, say 2005, and you look at the way the dogs look. Now, in 2005, you saw dogs who were a cleaner look. They did look very, very staffy, pit bullish with some size on them. You could see the pit bull in them. You could see it. They were big pit bulls. The whole pit bull steroid thing, pit bulls on steroid thing was in full effect. You could see it. It was very, very clear. And I don't want to bore y'all, but do y'all remember I told y'all this story? And I'm not talking about XLs and Mastiffs. That's next week's show. That's why I keep on. I'm not ignoring y'all. I'm just not going to talk about it because man. Hey, Tyler, don't give them too much. You know what I mean? Don't give them too much right now. What happened, and y'all have heard me tell this story a million times, is Little Row happened. Little Row happened. I can tell y'all going back, it was about maybe 2003-ish, 2004, when Mike from Devil's Den Kennel, you know what I mean? The bully is not evolving. The lying is evolving. A breed does not evolve. That's the Dave Wilson. Dave Wilson started that fucking lie. A breed is perfected. Once you have a standard, the standard is not supposed to continue to change. The standard is our benchmark. I'm a sports guy, so I tell y'all like this. If any of y'all ever played baseball or if you played basketball, the rules don't change. The rules for basketball, for the most part, the basic rules of basketball have been the same, you know what I'm saying, since what's his name, Naismith made the game. You know what I mean? They've been pretty basically the same. Once you got the full court basketball, the rim has always been pretty much 10 feet tall. Once we got to this type of game, it was always the same game. Football the same way. Of course, we get little dumb rules put in there like taunting and stuff like that. But the game has always been the same. Baseball the same way. The mound is the same. The distance away from the plate. The bases are the same way. It's all the same. The game does not evolve. The players evolve to perfect their craft. So now, in earlier days with basketball, people weren't shooting it from half court trying to hit the three. The 3-point line was added, technique was added. We found out the sports science and this and that and that and the other. When it comes to sports, even like myself being a mixed martial arts person and a weightlifter, the technology has changed. Even from 20 plus years ago when I first started lifting weights, we didn't know about cryogenics and freezing yourself to make yourself heal faster. We didn't know a lot. Even going back, and I'm very honest and open with this, so y'all don't judge me, but even when I opened my gyms, the technology at that time, my gyms basically made it because we had so many bodybuilders and we would sell them the steroids for the shit. And the technology has advanced, and the understanding of steroids themselves has advanced so much that it's a totally different game than it was 20 years ago. The way that these guys have mastered the ability to, when you go on steroids, when you go off, which different elements that you can put in there to combat any of the side effects and the bad effects, and how, to get the water out of the body, how this recovers, how that recovers. Now you got different peptides and their specialty peptides that's strictly for a certain area. Or you have them that instead of having to take growth hormone, now they've got peptides that will make your body produce its own growth hormone. The game has elevated with technology in so many different ways. The evolution of the American Bully is just flat out cheating. You didn't perfect anything. You didn't perfect anything. Oh yeah. You talking too much, Tyler. But what happened is cheating. Because what happened, and I'm going back, so I'm gonna try to stay on topic so we get this topic in. When we made the American Bully, and I sometimes I want to say they because they fucked it up, but I stuck to the rules. But one of the things that happened is change. And that change became classes. Now, originally when it was American Bully, all you had to do is, hey, aloha, my peoples. It's early as heck. I don't know why. But, well, thank you for being with us. It's too early to be listening to my mouth, but I appreciate you. The problem happened is the original American Bullies, it was no such thing as an XL class. There was no such thing as a pocket class. Definitely nothing close to being a classic class. It was just American Bully. In about 2003, 2004, a great promoter and a great dude, Mike from Devil's Den Bullies. We were all, in this thing together, and Mike is more responsible. I'm gonna tell y'all this. He is more responsible for this pocket thing than anybody else. And this is why I say this. Is because a lot of people don't understand. No real, I agree. But I agree. It's a different breed. Especially the XL. The XL is a different breed. The classic is really the standard. But maybe we'll talk about that next week. But the thing of it is this. Is that Mike was the manager. So I'll sort of stay on topic. Mike from Devil's Den Kennel was actually the manager, and everybody thought it was Cruz and Dave that was the head of the Elite Edge. It was actually Mike. Mike ran everything. Mike was the overall manager. Myself and Chris from AAO, we were the managers of the Midwest. Danny Navoa was the basically Mr. Do Everything. President of the EE, did put everything together. And then on the West Coast, you had the twins, Adrian Alfredo and they were more of the organizers, and we had a bunch of members like Oscar Gomez, Carlton Pratt, Sean Mullins. Y'all know all these guys' names because a lot of them are still around. You had a lot. You had Jay Hop. You had Jake Lipton on the East Coast. Yeah, man. You had the guys down in Adrian down in Texas. You had a few. You had two Adrians in Texas, but you had a crew down in Texas. It was a pretty large amount of us as a group. But Mike was the coordinator. Mike was the one who got the EE's website together. Mike was the one who he was just innovative. Before anybody was putting girls, you know, half naked in pictures with dogs, Mike was doing that, paying, real photographers and getting models and different things like that. And that was his vision. The same stuff that y'all see promoting with the half sexy bad boy type of image type thing. Mike pretty much created that. Don't y'all never let nobody else tell y'all anything different. When it comes to the persona of what the American Bully is in the community and how it went, you know what I mean? Mike from Devil's Den Bully, he really, really, really pulled this whole thing together. He is the most innovative person as far as what the American Bully community would become. And I know now he's discussed it went too far, but he wanted to have that edgy type of thing. You know what I mean? That, as he used to call it, it was edgy and sexy at the same time. And it worked, That's why EE was always in dark colors. That was a Mike thing. Mike never wanted us to have any bright, flamboyant colors. It was always a thing of, dark colors. You had to have black. Even with this shirt is 20 plus years old. Even with this, as you'll see, I still got the EE tag on the arm. You had to have black or you had to have navy blue. That was our thing. You know what I mean? You had to have that element to it because, that was a part of marketing. And it's funny to see that, this muscle head, from New York, Italian boy, he was ahead of his time because I watch videos now where Apple markets a lot in the same way, where they talk about one basic color and it has to be this way. Mike knew this shit, and he did it. A lot of things are always, Dave, and Dave didn't do shit. I'm gonna tell y'all the truth. As far as how this American Bully thing went, Dave made some dogs. Dave can breed his ass off when he wants to. Dave can breed his ass off. I'll repeat that. You will never hear me, even though we don't get along, I still love the brother. We went through too much to not love him, but, he's a piece of shit on a lot of things he does. But he can breed some damn dogs. When Dave wants to, he can sit down and he can get in there. As I've told you on previous videos, the only thing with Dave is once with Deanna is a rescue person, Dave pretty much stopped breeding. So when you seen Little Ro come around, Little Ro was actually sitting at the house doing nothing. This is why a lot of people, if you look at what's going on there, you can see that Little Ro, you don't see anything of Little Ro when he was young. Y'all can look as hard as y'all want to, you will not find any adolescent pictures of Little Ro. You won't find 8-month-old Little Ro. You won't find. The reason being is because it was no such thing as a pocket class. Little Ro was considered to be no, real. That's very real. But he was considered to be a runt. Now the word runt is not as ugly as it used to be. But y'all remember back in the day, if you had a little runt puppy, that was the one that you damn near wanted to throw away. Well, Dave kept Little Ro around because he thought he was cute. No other reason. Dave didn't want the dog. Literally. It was a point in time, believe me when I tell you this, where Dave was literally trying to give Little Ro away. People would come out to the house and we had the barbecue and the ear cropping sections and all this different shit. And Dave was literally trying to give Little Ro away because I'm taking y'all through the mindset at this time. It was no such thing as a pocket. Every dog was supposed to be big. It really was no such thing as an XL. It was blurred lines of what we call standard and XL now. The XL, and that's what we'll talk about next week. The XL now is not the real XL. Although Cairo technically would fit into the XL standard today, that was sort of all of the dogs back then were like in the 80, we talking about the studs, in the 80 to 85 pound range, all the way up to say 115, 120 pounds, in the 18, 19-inch range at the shortest, to 22, maybe 23 inches. So this is how the thing sort of ended up coming along, is that you know, it had to be broken down. You know what I mean? It had to be broken down. You know, no real. I like to tell everybody else's story, you know, but I appreciate it, brother. It had to be broken down, and that's when the meeting happened and the talks of the ABKC happened. No, I'm fast forwarding. What happened is that Mike, going back to Mike at that time had a dog named Viper, probably pound for pound the thickest dog I've ever seen. And I mean, Viper was cock diesel, a cock diesel standard, just everything about him was thick. I love Viper. I wish I could have got something off of him. But he also had Samson. Samson was Thing's brother. Thing is King Kamali's dad. Samson was actually the better looking of the two dogs. Very, very beautiful brindle boy. Now, what happened is that Mike put Little Row on his website. This is one of the biggest moves in American bully history that possibly happened by accident and dispute. Dave didn't want Little Row on any pictures. Dave was like, man, that little dog, he's not, no, you don't advertise that as a Cairo son. Dave didn't really like Row. And the thing is, he will admit it to you. He just never liked, he loved him because he was his pet, but he didn't like that look. So Mike was like, man, I love that little dog. He's cool. He got a cool look. I'm telling you, people gonna love him. And they called him a novelty dog at the time. He was just something to catch people's attention. They never thought it was going to blow up. They was like, Lil Row, you know, we're going to throw him out there. People saw that freaking dog, man. Everybody wanted to use him. It didn't happen like they thought it was. Before you knew it, everybody, y'all look, and if y'all do any research, I can prove what I'm telling y'all. Y'all look at what age Little Row was with his youngest litters. Little Row didn't actually start doing a lot of breedings until he was like almost 5 years old. He chilled for a long time just being Little Row. And, you know, around 4 to 5 years old, man, he had it going. He had it going. And the problem with Little Row was this, that we knew. Little Row was a dwarf. The reason why Cairo was 21 inches, 115 to 120 pounds with a 26 plus inch head, and his son was, and I got Little Row up to his highest weight when he spent that damn near year with me, and that was weight training, a lot of chicken, even adding some milk replacer and different things to his Ukanuba to bring up his calories. Dave wanted him bigger. You know what I mean? And I worked the hell out of him. And he still only weighed 73 pounds. He was not a huge dog at all. And he was 17, he was over 17 inches. He wasn't 18, but he was like 17 and a half. So he was a lot taller than what, you know, we're used to talking about his pockets today. But he definitely had the dwarf gene. Some of the things that, you know, Little Row displayed, and people, you know, people who know him talks about it, is he had a slightly high rear. His toes, it was strange. On his paws, his toenails sort of went like in weird directions. They weren't on his paws properly. Something else to come to find out comes with dwarfism. He had the one testicle. He had a underbite. This was one of the reasons why he wasn't accepted. He was a dwarf and he had a lot of dwarfism characteristics. With his popularity, he pushed those dwarfism characteristics. The one, I'm going to tell y'all know who the one was. The one was Paco. When they did that breeding, it was, I'm going to tell y'all, the intentions were not to make Paco. That was not the intentions. You know what I mean? The public made Little Ro popular. When people saw Little Ro, he was cute and cuddly. He was like the bully version of an English bulldog. He just went cute, cuddly. He went crazy, you know. But when Paco came along, it fucked the game up. It blew the game out the water, because what Little Ro had did in this breeding that, you know, that Sean and them put together, the objective was actually Toxic. If y'all ever seen Little Ro's brother Toxic, the breeding was to bring a lot of the bulliness, like the blocky head. That's what everybody wanted from Ro. The blocky head, he had massive bone and chest, but they was like, we're gonna bring the size back up, get that blocky ass head. Toxic is that. Toxic is a bigger version of Little Ro. You know what I mean? But he's clean. That's not what they wanted. LA. I never forget it. I flew out we flew out there. And it was at that time, I think I went with me and the girl I was with at the time. And I know I did. And I was just going out there. I wanted to see Nemesis. I wanted to see this. This was at Larry Durant show. That's one of the shows I told y'all about, where you had Caesar Milan and all kind of celebrities. This shit was jumping. It was jumping out in LA. LA was like the epicenter for bullies, you know, pit bulls, bully type dogs. And we're gonna have to talk about Larry Durant too, because he's a person who gets erased from history. I'll tell y'all why in a minute. But Larry Durant is more responsible for the American bully than Dave Wilson. I'm gonna tell y'all why in a minute. But we went out there, and they said, you know, at that time it was no registries technically, and we'll talk about that in a second. And they was like, man, go in and be a part of this panel of judges, you know. And this was a wild show because you had so many legendary dogs there. You had Monster J, Blue Gangster, Nemesis, Paco. Oh, the list goes on and on. Little Ro was there, of course. You name dogs from that era, Remy, they were all there. And I get in the ring, and I see this cute little dog, man. And now, in my mind, he was so small at that time, but he was really 16 inches. He was so thick, but he was beautiful, you know? And I go over, and I'm going to tell y'all why I did this. When I first seen Paco in the ring, I go over there. Nobody knows Marco Suarez. And Marco like, brother, I've been working on him, you know. And he start talking. And if you meet Marco for 10 seconds, you fall in love with the guy, because he got such a good heart and he's such an authentic dude. And so we start rapping. And I'm like, man, I'm going to take the underdog. I checked out his structure and stuff. I was like, I'm going to take the underdog, man. I'm going to take this little dog. And, you know, he pranced out there, and Marco had him cock diesel. And Paco was always, him and Marco had this love affair where they were just so happy. Nobody has ever had that kind of connection with their dog, where they were so happy to be together. You could see it on Paco. He just pranced. It was like almost like he was dancing, you know. And I kept fighting to get him in the finals, you know. And eventually, when he got there, they said, well, we got to decide at the end, you know, because they didn't want us to judge. So he was my dog. They picked out a couple other dogs, Monster J, some other dogs, you know what I'm saying? They got in the ring. And the people, because he was so cute and cuddly, they went berserk. And this ain't like the bullshit shows y'all see nowadays. This is similar to what exotic shows look like nowadays, where this building probably got 12, 13, 1,400 people inside of a building. You know what I mean? Not to mention with the cars and everything else, but they're like all around the ring. And when they start announcing that dog and people would see him, you know what I mean? Y'all know how life go. Let's just be realistic. The women loved him first. Paco was truly a ladies' man. So the women start screaming for him. So y'all already know how that go. If the women start screaming for him, we gonna come over like, yeah, you know, I like him, baby. You know, whatever you say, whatever is gonna get me home tonight. So he won that show. I'm telling y'all this, and I'm not bullshitting y'all. That one moment at Larry Durant's show, when Paco, it's a famous picture where Paco and Little Ro is together. That's the day. That was the only time that they was ever together. Because Little Ro was an East Coast dog. Eventually, later on in life, he went out and he ended up being with Cruz at the end of his life out on the West Coast. But that was the only time they was ever together. If you ever see that picture a little, you can Google it and just put in Little Ro and Paco, and it's a picture of them two together. That was the day. But I'll tell you what, man, I know you got it, no real. You got all that good shit. You like me, a collector. That launched not only the American Bully, but it launched the pocket class. Because then we had a problem. And this was the problem. You couldn't have Paco going against dogs like Monster on a real show if you were having a registry. They were too different. They were too different, man. They were too different. You know, they were too different. They were too different in size. They were too different in look. Paco had more of a bulldog look. Clean, but still more bulldog than your Remy's or your Monster J's type of dog. You know what I mean? And that was the dwarfism genes. Dwarfism causes the protruding forehead, which makes it look like more of a bulldog trait with the blockier head, the bigger, thicker bone, the thicker, squattier bodies. It was a different dog. And that's when we sat down and we actually... it wasn't even maybe a month or so later, we all met up in Virginia and had a good time out there. And that was the beginning of the talks for the ABKC and what we wanted to do as far as this registry goes. And at that point in time, on that fateful day, is when the decision was made that this class would be considered pretty much the pocket class. You know, I forget who gave it the name pocket, but that's what it had to be. Now, originally there was no talk about a classic class. It was always going to be just standard. And then the reason that the XL was born is because of the Bordeaux mix known as the Camelot dogs. The Camelot dogs at that time was always weight pool champions, but they were always carried the traits of the Bordeaux, where a lot of them would be 140, 150 pounds. And we had to separate that because just as much as what we called our standards, which would have been your Pacos and your Monsters and, you know, and Gottis and Monster G's and all of those dogs of the day, just as they would have made the pocket look sort of strange standing next to it, those weight pool XLs, and that's at the time, that's all people did with XLs was weight pool. You know, XL really was not a popular dog back then because the standard was the real XL. The pocket came along, and going back to the original point of the bulldog mix, it had to be sped up, and this is the problem. People went pocket crazy. And y'all have heard me tell this story again, some of y'all, but I'll do it anyway, is that Marco and Dave at the time knew that they had the most popular dogs. And they, you know, Marco, for his own reasons, Marco, like he is now, like y'all, somebody said he's stingy with Shifu. Marco has always been stingy with his blood. So his initial thing with Paco was just to continuously raise the price. And I used to talk to Marco all the time back then, man, all the time. And he would tell me, like, brother, I raised it to 5,000 and they still want to pay it. And I'm like, well, let them pay it. And he's like, I raised it to 7,500. They still want to pay it. I'm like, well, let them pay it. He's like, I don't want him to breed to Paco. I don't want a bunch of Paco. I want to control him and manage him the right way. But he didn't want to tell people, no, that's just how Marco is. Super nice guy. He raised it to 10,000. People still wanted to do it. Finally, he had to close him, but that goes into a whole nother story of when they tried to kill him. On the flip side, at this point in time, you know, everything's coming along real well. Yeah, Marco, I'm gonna tell you the truth. Don't ever take it personal if Marco doesn't respond to you. His DM is probably a lot like mine. On a normal day, I probably get right around 300 messages, you know, on a normal day. And it happens all through night. That's why a lot of times I just silence my phone because I already have a bad problem sleeping. And if I don't do that, I'll never sleep. But I know when me and him talk, he can't keep up with it. He actually has another business that he's always had, and he has to pay a lot of attention to that also, you know. So yeah, with Marco, you got to be persistent. He's a lot like Pratt. If you are persistent, you'll be, you know what I'm saying, you know, you'll be on point. I know somebody didn't just bring up Masters of Bulldogs. That dude's a lunatic. He's a lunatic, and he lies a lot. He always tell you he the best damn dog man in the world, and he did this and he did that. He's just like Shark Line. They tell you all this stuff, man. Now, you know, sometimes they have good dogs, but they'll rewrite the whole history of the American Bully and tell you everybody had their shit, and it don't even be their dogs sometimes. It's amazing. But yeah, the masters of all, I think, what is it, Masters of Bulldogs or whatever. What is his name? Kwame, something like that. He'd cuss everybody out too. This shit is funny as hell. I watch his stuff. He just rant and cuss everybody out. But see, when those dogs when Paco took off like that, everybody wanted a piece of that $10,000 stud. You know what we see now, and Marco actually, you know, he really didn't even care about studying the dog. He raised the price like that. But Little Row, you know, that was around the time that I was training Little Row. They had to have me really, 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 you know what I mean? Oh man, get with me. You got Shifu's litter mate. That's shit. That's getting real thin right now. But you know, they started to add in the English Bulldog because they wanted to shorten the dogs. They couldn't figure out like how you would breed for dwarfism traits and make the dogs lower. And only certain dogs would actually, you know what I'm saying? Only certain dogs would actually throw the traits. You would have some dogs that were pockets that would still throw big dogs. So it was very, very limited. So the way that they got around that was to add English. You started to see the Miyagis of the world, where you saw obvious French Bulldog characteristics. You just saw a lot of different things. And once they could make a couple of those dogs, you would have a whole community that would fall for it, man. And they just bred the shit out of those dogs, you know. Like I said, Miyagi came along later on, but it was several dogs even before Miyagi that were very, very suspect. And going for that pocket thing, man, they just went berserk, you know. The English is in there now. The Odie was used, and a lot of people think that all the Odies are sort of big. The Odie, like the Alapaha, there are some shorter versions and kennels who have short Alapahas and Odies. Some of the Alapahas that I had back in the day could pass for bullies, no problem. They were short, wide, a lot of mass, and actually had tighter skin than a lot of the bullies that are out here now. And this is why, you know, we can go on and on forever, but this is why you see a lot of the Bulldog characteristics. So when Kenneth says that somebody definitely told him it's nothing but a pit bull and a bulldog mix, it was not supposed to be that way, but in many ways it's true. It's also now a Rottweiler mix. It's a pug mix. It's a variation of bulldogs where you have the American Bulldog, the English Bulldog, the Odie Bulldog, the Alapaha Bulldog. It's pretty bad, you know. On the XLs, you have the Neapolitan Mastiff, you have the Douge de Bordeaux, and I always mess up that name, but you have the Bull Mastiff. I mean, it's sad, you know. It's sad, man. And you know, and for some of y'all, like sometimes y'all see me have that face, and it be like it really it hurts because some of us really did try to do it the right way. You did have great dogs like Remy. You had accidental dogs like Paco. You know what I'm saying? And if things were done in a correct and an appropriate fashion, this could have all been a lot better, and the breed could have been a lot better. You know, to see the things that these people have done, and to see now, you know, to go worldwide and to see people call us, you know, puppy millers, dog abusers, and those things, I ain't gonna lie to y'all, and not to be soft, but the shit hurts, you know what I mean? Because I started this shit when I was a kid, and I really, really pushed hard to do it. You know, I can promise y'all I never added any shit outside of an American Bully to the breed. Exactly. Borbos, Pressas, you name it, they've all been added to this breed. I literally did it the right way. Oscar Gomez literally did it the right way and charted it through DNA testing. Would not under any circumstances. This is why y'all see right now that if you look, and I'm going to speak for myself and I'm going to speak for Oscar because I haven't never seen it from him either. But you look at the studs that we've had and the ability for those studs to make a lot of money, and you've never seen Oscar run and take his studs to Miyagi blood, knowing what it was, or anything of that exotic type stuff. He never would conform to bulldog type stuff. He wouldn't do it, you know. And literally, like right now, he's probably 9, maybe even 10 generations of DNA testing in his own yard, and he took the initiative to do that a long time ago, which I should have, because there was so much nonsense that happened in this breed. It's mandatory DNA testing for any dogs that are being bred. Now, that DNA testing is not an attempt to go backwards and try to fix the past and all of the people who've cheated. And I don't have a problem telling you that every single American Bully has something mixed in it. I would even say my own because, you know, I don't control every single dog that even came into my yard even back then. I had to use other dogs. So when you got questionable dogs like Monster G and other dogs like that from back in the day, you can't guarantee that it's not some kind of bulldog mixed into your stuff. Now the stuff that I've had for the last, you know, whatever 15 years or whatever, I know what that stuff is, but the stuff that comes before that, it was crazy, you know. Man, you know, yeah, I seen a signal where it said my Wi-Fi was breaking up pretty bad. Hopefully it catches up, man. uh that's the horrible part about being out in the country. I'm gonna have to try to find a way to start doing these morning lives from somewhere else where the signal is a lot stronger. But the thing of it is man, is that we have to adhere to whatever the standards are, do proper DNA testing, start doing proper health testing, and eliminate a lot of dogs because it's way too much. The traits that you are seeing in these breeds, it's not accidental. This stuff does not come from uh, nowhere. You know, the heavy amount of tries that we're seeing, all the different colors, that's a mixing of breeds, you know. The heavy amount of merles that we're starting to see, that's a mixing of breeds. So the more and more that you know, we've seen the characteristics, physical or whatever, in the breed, we have to start thinking, what is it doing with the underlying symptoms? Now, I will tell y'all from personal experience, these dogs didn't have all of these breathing issues. These dogs didn't have the horrible amount of hip issues. These dogs didn't have the super high rears. These dogs did not have those very, very long backs, which those long backs come from the addition of some other breeds. And now we're starting to see that the breed is just so, you know, infiltrated, for lack of a better word, with these terrible genetics and everything that has went on, is that it makes you truly wonder, you know, how you can fix it. It should start going again. Yeah, there it goes. I'm sorry. If somebody calls the phone while it's while I'm on there, it'll freeze the phone. So I'm sorry about that, y'all. But But there we go. Um the thing of it is that, you know, we have to fix every single thing as far as DNA testing and everything like that, and basically start over with this breed. I don't mix my words. I don't cry about different things with this breed or whatever the case may be. I know what it is. I've seen what it is, and if y'all want it to be better, bottom line, we're creating a clean community. You know what I mean? I'm gonna tell you the truth. When it comes to you wasting your damn time when you do those tests to try to find out what breeds are in your dogs, Because I've seen some, and I'm starting to get tired of Embark. Because I've seen some tests on Embark that come back to say 100% American Bully. Like, how can you decide that? If the American Bully is made up of all these dogs, how can you say now you're just putting down stuff on a piece of paper? Then I've seen other people's stuff that come back with Rottweiler. I've seen it come back American Bulldog. I've seen it come back part English. Excuse me. My one homie, he actually had a dog that the damn dog came back part pug. So that's why I say it's a waste of time. It's going to be a waste of resources. By no way, shape, or form am I rich or anything like that. You know what I mean? So I say we have to start by going forward. And the best way that we can do is have good judges, judges that will push forward and actually go into this thing. And yeah, it was some part pug. Hey, much love, Brian. Yeah, it was pug. It was some other dogs that was some weird ass dogs that people was having pop up in their pedigrees too. People was complaining about it, but it is what it is. We can't fix that. It's thousands and thousands and thousands of quote unquote American bullies. The only way that we can make this game fair is to set up a bunch of rules. And as we set up those rules, follow those rules. We'll have to eliminate dogs through the showing process to say, okay, this dog is just not a good example of an American bully, and we'll pull the paperwork on those dogs. And we'll have to, as dogs go forward, we'll have to get DNA profiles so that we can make sure that those particular dogs, or make sure to the best of our ability, that those particular dogs are the dogs that are being bred. This is the only way that we can do this. It's, believe me, I've sat down with great dog people. I've sat down with some of our own dog people. It's probably now about 50 of us that have discussed this. I've even had this discussion with Oscar Gomez. I've actually had this discussion with Dave Wilson before. None of us could ever come to a way to how to clean up the breed properly because it's a damn shit show. You know, it's a mess. So the only way is almost to like hit a restart button and to start pushing for the dogs that actually fit what the American Bully is supposed to be. You know, this guy. Not a bulldog, not a terrier, not, you know, this guy. We have to make it to where we're first and foremost going towards the health of the dogs. And some of y'all, you know, have asked me, and I wasn't offended by the questions or anything. And I think, you know, it's better to ask questions when you wonder about these things. But some of the questions that were asked is, why am I so strong about the health of the dog, and do I think that I should put some other things, you know, issues inside of the breed before pushing health. And I don't think it's a stupid question in the context that those questions came in. But the one thing I will say is, if we don't correct the health of the animals, the animal dies. Right now, the heart conditions that we're seeing in this thing is alarming. We're starting to see some crazy defects where I've seen a puppy the other day. I guess they were saying it was Siamese twins or something. It looked like somebody had pumped air into it or whatever. We've seen multiple legs on dogs and multiple, heads, actually. It was a two-headed puppy. We're seeing, dogs have to be put down at a very, very young age for degenerative hips. One thing about degenerative hips, ask the Rottweiler community. If that gene continues to spread, it can almost destroy this whole breed. Those degenerative hips, it gets worse and worse and worse. You'll have a dog, the dog will be good for a year. You know, I've seen one that had to be put down at a year old, but they might last 3 or 4 years. And if they last 3 or 4 years, you know what I mean, you start noticing your dog limping. Now your dog is limping, you take the dog to the vet, and what does the vet tell you? The vet tells you, we need to do hip x-rays. You do the freaking hip x-rays, and they're basically telling you got one or two options. Either your dog is going to have to be in a special type of wheelchair thing, and The dog will still be in some kind of pain. We can do surgeries to remove his legs to take the pressure off of it, or whatever the case may be. But that's like the longest shot. And I've heard a couple people, have that recommendation from a vet. But, what kind of life is it for a dog that's 80, 90 pounds? Now you want to hook them up in a wheelchair thing and chop their legs off because they have bad hips. So more than likely, you're going to have to put the dog down. So y'all tell me, is it really tripping when you talk about a dog's hips compared to a dog's hearts? It all leads to death. Now, as us being a community and saying that we want to spread this community to the world, how can we spread this community to the world in a respectable manner and have very, very good sponsors and people who will give us a good name and put us out there and let us promote if the dogs are dying at a very, very young age? It's just it's ugly. A lot of these guys will sell you on the idea that their dogs are healthy. A lot of these guys will sell you on the idea that they're about the right dogs. A lot of these guys will sell you on all these ideas, but really, once the thing goes on, you find out more and more about all of the nonsense that comes along with their dogs. The dogs are dying at a very, very high rate. As I've told y'all before, you go to your local animal shelter and you'll see our dogs fill up the shelter. You're going to see American bullies. You're going to see exotic type dogs, and they fill up the shelter. One of the reasons is, yes, it's a bunch of Bashars, and they don't understand that Bashar is the only one that can really do it like that. Y'all just take some time. Go by Walmart, buy a bag of Dads or Pedigree. They don't care. The shelter is more than willing to take whatever donation you want to bring there when you come in, cleaning supplies, whatever. But go and visit and walk through there and check out. You might find something that you want to adopt, but at the end of the day, you will see a lot of bullies. A ton. Literally probably 75% of the dogs there are going to be some kind of bully breed. And this is because we have, an epidemic in this country and possibly around the world of people with this false idea that they're going to become a breeder and they're going to be a millionaire in 3 days. It just doesn't work like that. More and more what people find out is that if you breed these dogs, it's such a saturated market that pretty much the only people who are selling dogs on a regular basis are the ones who are crossing a lot of lines and basically just being dickheads. Again, let me take a sip of water. It's not what people think it is. Now, it's not to say that as a breeder, no one's going to buy your dogs. If you do things responsibly, maybe your sale pitch changes. Maybe you talk about how athletic your dog is, how your dog can run around. Is it safe to buy for my husband? Is it safe to buy for my wife? I've had a lot of dogs now that end up being service dogs. I've got a shitload of dogs that are living into double-digit years and have had long, healthy lives. And if I was to try to sell a dog, if I had to really go out and try to sell somebody a dog, that would be my selling point, that I have very good temperament, very healthy dogs. The look thing, it comes later. The dog will have a look, but the way the actual dog world works outside of the American bully is that the dog has to be healthy, y'all. We can't keep getting around that. We can't keep acting as if we don't know that these dogs need to be healthy. The food companies and all these places will not touch these dogs if they're not healthy. Confirmation is the visual of health. When you see a dog and, he has a good bite or he has, good movement and all these different things, that is health because the dog is put together the way it's supposed to. That means that arthritic conditions and other conditions that can happen with this dog are less likely to happen because the dog is built well. This is really a science that people don't understand. Y'all, I ain't saying y'all as in you, but, a lot of people believe that it's just dogs. It's a lot of science in dogs, man. It's a lot of science in animals. I just watched a documentary about the Philippines, and when they were under a certain rule, they had brought in a lot of giraffes, And because they brought in these giraffes, but they didn't bring in any other giraffes, years later now, because of the gene pool being so tight, these giraffes are mutants. They're not the normal giraffes. They don't have the same long neck anymore. Their necks are shortening down. Some of them are shorter than what they used to be. They're basically making bully giraffes now, and of course, it's a major issue, but it's the science of it, of how to fix these problems. In the American bully world, a lot of the issues that we have is now. I often say that, of course, dwarfism is a big issue. And then, sometimes I put human terms on disorders into the dogs, but y'all know what I'm getting at. It's many different disorders, you know what I mean? Like disorders that simulate Down syndrome, and we can't say Down syndrome because that's not what it actually is, but it simulates a lot of the same issues. Y'all never see these pictures where these dogs can't keep their tongues in their mouth and they have that blank stare. Now, for anyone who watched this, I'm not an insensitive person and I don't know everybody's lingo, but a lot of those dogs are mentally disabled. Is the best term to put it. The dogs are mentally disabled. They can't function. But instead of people actually noticing that maybe we've went too far, maybe we've needed to do something a little better, what they do is they continuously breed it. Now, if you take two people who suffer from dwarfism, of course, there's going to be a very, very high likelihood that their kids have it. There's also a very high likelihood that the complications that they suffer from dwarfism will be worse with their kids. Their kids might end up being shorter. Their kids might have more of the joint issues and other issues that come along, with this. And the probabilities are a lot higher when those genes are compounded. It's no different in dogs. Going back to what we were talking about with the tail being connected to the spine, this is why you never want to take two dogs that excuse me, have issues and compound it. But what do we see? The main thing we see in the American bully world is that dogs that have issues, whether it's a high rear, bad feet, breathing issues, all of these things, they compound the gene by breeding these dogs together. Where in other communities, a lot of times those dogs just aren't bred at all. They're just not bred. I think that's the smartest way, but at the very least, you should be diluting the genes instead of compounding the genes. And y'all think I'm crazy, but you all the time will see some dude that wants to breed two dogs that have the highest rears in the world. Peace, my brother. It's a continuation of the lack of knowledge in our breed, and we have to do better. We have to do better overall. What's going on right now is just a terrible situation and terrible circumstances. And oh yeah, I was supposed to tell y'all that. Like, if y'all want to support the page, support the show or whatever, Cash App is TBKC Dogs, DOGS. On these pages, I do all of these videos, and I don't monetize the page or whatever. I probably should have a long time ago, but we're gonna get better at this page. It's gonna be here every Friday morning. You're gonna see a lot more video, a lot better content. I'm actually hiring someone, what I'm saying, that to do some of this work, because I'm terrible with computers. But we're gonna get it together, man. So like I said, if you want to support the page, Cash App is TBKC Dogs. But it's no big bother. I'm gonna be here either way, baby. But Bullypedia. Let's just say Bullypedia is somewhat of a joke, and it's not strictly their fault. But the thing with Bullypedia is that you can do whatever you want on Bullypedia. You can pretty much do whatever you want. Once you register one dog, You can go on there, like I told y'all, on Bullypedia for years, it said I didn't produce Denzel or Mandela. It had other people's name there that had absolutely nothing to do with the dog. But because they wanted to, BS with me, they would put other people's names on there. You know, I think the Bullypedia and all the other pedias will be better once they start mandating that if you are putting these dogs on there, that they have some kind of DNA certification, so that we're not putting up a lie. I think that would help out a lot, because right now on Bullypedia, Pitpedia, all these damn pedias, is that it's not anyone really being held accountable for their actions. So you have people putting all kind of wild stuff up there and making these pedigrees and putting out this and that and the other, and it's not standing for anything. You know what I mean? It's not standing on anything. It's not guaranteeing you that this is what you're looking at. It's just more of a source to say, hey, pay for your membership and then you can do your thing. Where it really shouldn't be that way. We need more clarity on what these dogs are, period. What are people so afraid of to DNA test their dogs? Because like the whole situation that I told y'all about with Bashar and Nan Bai, a lot of that's based off of DNA issues. Nan is, for those who don't know, is a very wealthy, businessman. He paid, the crazy price of, $500,000 for the dog. And later on, he came to find out that, a lot of people who were hitting him up and saying that they had Magoo's this and Magoo's that, he started looking and being an intelligent man. He was like, I just don't think that's off my dog. And once they start DNA testing the dogs, they found out that the majority of so-called Magoo offspring are not his. And y'all know why. Of course, with all the steroid use and different things like that, you can't produce. But it's really, sad that one of the more popular studs in our breed, we don't know who his real offspring is. And it's a lot of y'all that think that, oh yeah, I'm breeding to a Magoo son, and you might be breeding to a Mango son, And that was Mango is the dog that Bashar got caught, sending out the Mango semen instead of the Magoo semen. But those kind of situations, how are we supposed to be better breeders if we can't go and breed in honesty and know what we're doing? Like now, in my yard, I still have a decent amount of dogs out there. But the thing is that, I'm leveling it down to 4 or 5 bitches that I want to keep puppies off of for the next generation. And it'll be a couple off of each one of them because I know their genetics. I've had time to evaluate their genetics, and I'm pushing forward to do something better. Now, if I didn't know their genetics and I didn't know what was behind these dogs, how was I supposed to breed them? A breeding that I have coming up. Well, I just did one to a heavy Paco female, and I understand what her ups and her downs is. I understand the needing of size and this and that and the other. I know where to pull it from, so I know what stud to put to her. I had another stud that probably wouldn't have been as great for her because of certain issues and certain things genetically that even happened with Paco, So when you know those different bloods, you have to breed towards the highlights of those bloods. Old, yeah, he's just an old man now, you know what I mean? He's just an old man. But yeah, man, I mean, all this is very scientific. If I know that a grandfather had bad hips, of course I cannot put that dog across from another dog that has bad hips. I'm gonna have to get away from that. If even down to the eye shape, I'm very big stickler on almond shaped eyes. If I have, and I do have one bitch who has circular type eyes, I would never breed her to anything close to anything that doesn't have the perfect eye shape that I want. This is about perfecting something. This is about understanding what's behind your dog. It's about the reliability of being able to look back at a pedigree and understand the genetics that are in your dog. If you cannot do that, you cannot breed. If I don't know where it's coming from, I can't breed it. Even if the two dogs that you lied about are brothers, I still need to see which one I'm dealing with, because even when dogs have the same genetics, they will throw dogs differently. Case in point, Denzel produces a lot of blue dogs, a lot of blue brindles, whereas his brother, who is blue brindle, Rome produced a lot of fawn dogs with half white faces like Denzel and their mom. So that's something small, but if you're breeding one or the other, that is a characteristic and a quality that I can tell you about, because I know the pedigree. If I don't know the pedigree, and I'm just guessworking, I could pretty much mess up the damn breeding. When it comes to the old man, I mean, it's not much more that he's going to be able to do. When you talk about 14 years, man, I think when you start to see all of the dogs get older, you just like, especially when they're your dogs. And when I say my dogs, it don't mean that the dogs that are going to be outside or staying in the kennel aren't my dogs. They get their run time and all that stuff too. But when you raise dogs and they're in the house and they play with the kids and this and that and the other, you know what I mean? It's crazy. Yeah, Denzel produces a lot of fawns. Yeah, he does produce a lot of browns and fawns himself. But it's amazing how his brother can't throw blue brindle, but Denzel can. And Denzel never throws the half face. His brother does. And it's just those small genetics. It's just like with Biggie. Biggie is out of that litter too, and with Biggie throws a bigger dog. Biggie is the bigger brother. He pulls more from the genes of Thug than all the other dogs do. And when you see most of his kids, they are big like him. Now, with them being from the same mom, same dad, same litter, that's why I say it's important to know what you're dealing with on the pedigree, because Gargoyle was like 50 pounds, little cut up dude with great conformation. But then you go to Biggie was a 100-pound dog. He was literally twice the size of his dog, and that's what his dad, and that's what his genetics pushed. You have to know these things, just like Toxic and Paco. Paco is going to push you more towards the pocket dogs. Toxic is going to push you towards the bigger dogs. That's the way they produced. Now, if you lie about that, like Bashar lied about Magoo and hid all of that stuff, then at the end of the day, you don't know what you're getting. Even if you were blessed enough that he used a littermate brother or something, which I highly doubt, you just don't know what you got. It's very, very hard to operate like that. It's very, 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 very hard to operate like that. As we go forward, and I guess we stretching it down to the limit now. But I talked y'all ear off today, man, and I done had a good time talking, man. This will get better, like I told y'all, man. It's if you want to donate to the show, TBKC Dogs on Cash App. It don't matter if it's $1 or whatever. I actually already have a microphone, so I'm just getting a little equipment together, and it's gonna be fun to bring some guests in and do some talking. And sometimes I get in touch with Jomar. Jomar recently got I don't know if he got married or if that was his anniversary or whatever, but I seen him putting up some stuff. But I haven't been talking to much of anybody lately. But we still in contact, So definitely a good brother, man. I would like to. I know he sold Rome, but I would like to see if Rome was still living. Yeah, I know Biggie died. They all old, man. The whole crew is getting old. That's the good thing about breeding good dogs, is that they do get old. The sad part is that you got to say goodbye. And unfortunately, I think my time is coming to say goodbye to my guy. But it happens. You know what I mean? It happens. The one thing, we're going to go over a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah, I love that picture. Yeah, I love that picture. We're going to go over a lot of stuff, man, over these next few weeks. That's why I really look forward to getting to the podcast, because I get to talk to some of the people like I mentioned to y'all, the scientist, Tyler Malone, Belinda Moore, and I'm gonna sneak and get Oscar Gomez on this damn thing and get a lot of people on here. But one thing I want to tell y'all, man, is that I'm never one to want to dictate to y'all. I just want to give y'all the real information. It takes forever to give y'all the real information, as y'all see as we come down to the end of this show. I didn't even get to Larry Durant and his contributions and why he was a true American bully innovator. And to be truthful, I will tell y'all this, and we'll get into it next week because we'll have two hours to talk about the XL and the Classic and Larry Durant. But Larry Durant actually had the American bully name stole from him. And it was something that I didn't even know at the time, you know. But yeah, Dave knew that Larry Durant was actually the one pushing the American bully name. He had started a kennel club, and the kennel club was actually, you know, he was trying to push it towards the registry. They were already doing shows and stuff, and Dave pretty much ripped the idea of the ABKC off, you know. So it's pretty rough, you know what I mean, when people do things like that. And I'm just being honest and upfront about everything. But I'll talk to y'all about Larry next week. But like I said, man, I hope that y'all grind, man. I hope that the small collection of people that we have right now that's going to be bigger and bigger and bigger, from Jamaica, TBKC Jamaica, TBKC Canada, Mexico, you know, Hawaii is a part of the United States, but I'm meeting great people out in Hawaii. And you know, we want to push the healthy American bully that has a chance to sustain through history. You have to remember, if you're at the beginning of a breed, this breed is supposed to be going forward for another century. We'll all be gone, and the work that we're doing now will last forever if we do it properly, that people will keep on going forward with what we have. You know, imagine, you know what I mean, the great doctor that, you know, that put together the Doberman and different things like that. His legacy lives on to an incredible ability where his dog is known worldwide now. We're at that point, but in order for us to get over that hump, we really, really have to get down and mandate that structure and health is our format in the way that we're going forward. Like I told y'all, it's back. It's great to feel good again. Not so many thoughts in the head and all that good stuff. So Fridays, we will be here. Y'all gonna notice that it's a lot of, you know what I'm saying, a lot of different videos and different things. Jay Will, hit me up, man, because in the process with me silencing phones and doing everything else, a lot of numbers is out of those phones now because of me not doing proper updates. My phones went crazy, but, you know, hit me up, man. I'll be around. This weekend is all about catching up with pretty much everybody and getting some things taken care of so we can go forward in a good, positive fashion. But, man, next week, next Friday, you know what I mean? Next Friday, we're going to talk about the XL and everything that come along with the XL, the standard. And we got to have this talk about the legendary Larry Durant, the good and the bad and the indifferent. I think if you breeding American bullies, you should, and I'm not saying you should in the fact that you should already know, but you should get the information about this brother and where it was going, because you get a better idea once you know all of the players in the game. You get a better idea of what the game was actually supposed to be, opposite of what it turned out to be. But like I say, man, like I start off with the beginning of the show saying, if you feeling bad in any kind of way, if you feeling that you need anything to talk to somebody, reach out to people, because there's nothing wrong with feeling bad, but there's something wrong with not taking care of it and letting your pride put you in a situation where you're hurting yourself. Until next time, y'all, much love. God bless all y'all. Peace. I don't even know how to log out. There you go. Peace.